Hello and welcome to another edition of the VIVKB Podcast. I am your host, VIVKB. And joining me today, my God, if you've seen my social media account, he is all over it. And he's been all over it because he's been present in my life for the last 12 years, 12 to 13 years. It's a high school friend, a college friend. Couldn't get through uni without him, and I certainly couldn't get through a competition prep without him. And that is my physio and good friend, Matthew Tran. Matt, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is cool. I mean, I can't even think of 1 week in the last probably 3 to 4 years where I haven't seen you.
So yeah, for better or for good.
That's for better or for good. I'd like that. That actually works out in my favor, I think. But you know what? You've been very present in my prep, and you've sort of seen the transformation that I've made. And now you work alongside all my clients, so you see a whole different range of athlete and work with all of them as a physiotherapist. So I guess what we want to do now is learn a little bit more about you. So obviously there's a lot of stuff that I know, but stuff that we do want to share. So Matt, getting straight into it, man. Where did you grow up?
I was born, raised here in Canberra. I was very lucky. My parents came here via boat from Vietnam after the Vietnam War, and raised my brother and I here in middle class Canberra.
I say that's a legitimate. They traveled that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people might hear that and think that's not a real thing, but your parents did travel that way.
No, yeah, like the stories that they told me were crazy. Like they came from Vietnam not knowing a lick of English. Like mum was 20 when she came over here. And so they had to, like mum's the third oldest in the family with like 8 siblings or something. So she had to look after kind of my aunt, my uncles, that sort of thing. Yeah, it just... That kind of work ethic, I guess, is has been passed. Well, some of it's been passed on to me.
Well, I mean, we certainly have it a lot easier than our parents, that's for sure. Where'd you go to school, man?
I went to primary school, Isabella Plains Primary School. Shout out, it's a horrible school. Made some decent friends there, and then went to Alfred Deakin High School, which is obviously where we met. Then went to Narrabundah College because that's where all the Asians went at the time. Double specialist, chemistry, the whole lot. Didn't do physics though. And then UC.
UC, awesome. Well, I mean, that's obviously where I met you, year 7. The year was 2007 at Alfred Deakin High School. And at the time, I believe you were doing Taekwondo?
Yeah, I think I started Taekwondo in year 7. So I was super stereotypical Asian.
Explain.
Great at maths, really socially awkward, martial artist, really skinny.
Why the decision for Taekwondo?
It wasn't actually my choice. I think my parents felt bad for me because I sucked at soccer. Like, they got me into soccer when I was like 10, and I was like that shitty kid that would shin kick people as a defender. Like, that's the first time I've ever said that out loud. So I've always held that that secret close to my heart. I was a shitty goalkeeper. I was scared of the ball. I think my parents just felt bad for me, and they were like, "How about this? How's Taekwondo?"
Like, yeah, I can kick people now. Awesome.
No, I think it was more like you grow up watching all those movies, Power Rangers, all that sort of stuff, martial arts, and you kind of, you fantasize about it a little bit, I guess.
Is that what it was like when you did Taekwondo? This was sort of like a sport that you felt you could just sort of be you in.
I don't know. It wasn't the type of Taekwondo that I did wasn't like the Olympic Taekwondo, so it wasn't much of a sport. It was more of a, as corny as it sounds, like a martial art, like self-defense, that sort of thing. It was really good though. Like it taught me how to, it was the first time that I'd gone to train and, and thrown up during training kind of thing, like was during my black belt testings.
Did you get your black belt in Taekwondo?
I did. I got my black belt in 2009, and then I got my second Dan black belt in 2011.
Wow, and do you still do that? Or
I do not do that anymore, no. I quit. I was on and off kind of in college because of how busy it was, and then I just enjoyed the gym more, I guess.
Did you do any competitions with Taekwondo?
I did, and I sucked at it. There was a local one in Canberra, like inter-club, and a few of our guys, our black belts, came from Brisbane. And I think I came 3rd just because of the luck of the draw. I got like a bye somewhere that got me into the top 3. It wasn't on my own merit, that's for sure.
That's awesome. So what you say? What 2011 was pretty much the end of it for you?
Yeah, pretty much like 2011 for the serious competitive taekwondo. Like I definitely wouldn't call myself a black belt anymore. I've got it hanging up for, when I have kids, I can tell them stories. But, back in the day, your dad was a black belt, but nah.
So for taekwondo, especially as you got into your teens, were you gymming at all at the time, or when was your first gym experience?
I think my first gym experience it would have been a home gym. No, I actually remember. Dad bought these resistance bands, like the ones with the handles, and
like the ones you can find at VIVKB.com.
Exactly like the ones that you can find at VIVKB.com, except for the VIVKB logoing. But they were sitting, like, it was really weird. I actually have a really distinct memory of it. They were sitting in a washing basket, and so I must have been 12 or 13 at the time. No, maybe 14. Anyway, I was standing inside the washing basket doing bicep curls. It's weird that that's my distinct memory of it. But Dad also bought like these, those dumbbells that you can like change the weights on.
Yep, with the screw in.
Yeah, not the screw. It's different. Like you kind of click it in, and then you change like the dial or something, and then it connects certain dumbbells to it. I think I've shown you when you're at my house. Anyway, super dangerous things. Don't get them, especially these ones from eBay. That was kind of my first gym setup at home.
With the bands, were they originally your parents? Were they doing?
No, yeah, they were my parents. I think mum or dad would have been doing something with them.
Why the decision to stand in the laundry basket and do it?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, if anyone who knows me and has seen me kind of like sleep and nap and stuff, like I'm always in awkward positions. So I feel like it's just, I don't know.
Just being you, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So your first gym experience playing with bands in the laundry basket. When did you decide to go to the gym?
God, that sounds like such a kid thing, huh? The gym, my first gym experience was in year 10. I was 15 at the time. We signed up to YMCA, the gym in Erindale.
Yeah, the PCY. Yep.
Yeah, the PC. Yeah, sorry, the PCYC. Yeah,
PCYC.
Sorry, my bad. And because that was free for kids over 16, kind of thing.
Under or
no, over. I joined up and they didn't realize I was under 16.
Right.
Yeah, so that was illegal. Don't do that. Yeah, so that was my first gym experience. I thought I knew what I was doing. I did a whole body circuit. I did dips. I did leg press because I didn't want to squat. I did, your classic. I just started off with the incline bench press actually. I did most things apart from deadlifting and squatting.
Where'd you learn to train?
The internet.
Right.
Bodybuilding.com. And my grandpa was the one who put me onto bodybuilding.com.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no shit. I've got no idea how he knows about that website, but I think he saw me doing like some curls with a resistance band or talking about the gym or something, as 16-year-olds do. And he's like, "Oh, do you know internet?" I'm like, yeah. What about the internet? And he's like, bodybuilding.com. Like, you should go to bodybuilding.com. It's a really good website. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. So you're into the gym now. Let's talk about, we just got past college into university. You studied physiotherapy, right?
Yes.
Right, at the University of Canberra. Why the decision to study physio?
Well, I always wanted to be a physio since I was 15. So the first kind of interaction I had with a physio was at black belt testing in Brisbane. So I was sparring another black belt who, I reckon he would have been close to kind of 90, 100 kilos. And, if you remember me at the time in 2009, I was 15. I probably weighed 50, 55 wet. Went for a block when he was kicking with my hand out and got it. It was mangled. And one of the physios there, well, he was a black belt as well, so he was a physio who was there at the time. Had a look at it, did a few bits and bobs, taped it up, and then I went on with the black belt testing. And I thought that was really, really cool to be able to help people like that. And then on top of that, Mum's had a big history of what they used to call RSI back in the day, so the repetitive strain injuries. And she eventually went to go see a physio who managed to help her out a lot with that. And so seeing kind of the difference that it made in her life, because there were points in time where her arms would hurt so much that she couldn't really carry anything. So she couldn't do the cooking, she couldn't carry anything, she couldn't lift anything. And so seeing the change that that made in her life, I thought that it'd be so rewarding to be able to do that for other people.
Right. So you go to UC, you complete your degree. What year did you graduate?
I graduated 2016.
Right. And I know for me, when I was at uni, I still didn't have any clear direction, even while I was doing my degree, that was the field I wanted to work in. Was there ever a point while you were studying physio that you didn't want to commit?
I'm sure there were. Like I've got the worst work ethic for things that I don't enjoy. I'm super lazy by nature. If I love it, then I'll throw my all into it. So there definitely were points in time in physio where I did enjoy it. I got very lucky in that my supervisors were really helpful, most of them. So they didn't really disillusion me from physio. Most of the physio stuff that I learned, I found interesting to some degree. There were definitely points in time where I wasn't interested. But I don't think there was a point in time where I didn't want to become a physio.
Right. Well, I mean, it sort of worked out in the end, right? You definitely started to create a name for yourself as a physio in this industry, and especially at your age, which is a fantastic thing. Now, you completed your degree, you went straight into work?
Yeah, I went straight into work. I got very lucky. Physio is becoming very saturated with how many physios they're putting out, and there's a lot of clinics that pop up kind of with new grads and stuff that can be, less than ideal for a new grad. You go through that, what's it called, like the Dunning-Kruger effect or whatever it is? From memory, it's the effect where like you know a little bit and you think you know a lot.
Right. Okay. I understand.
Yeah, and then as you get more experience, you're kind of like, oh, actually, I don't know all that much. And then you slowly build your way back up in experience. Not to the point of being cocky, but kind of being confident in your skills. And I do definitely remember a time in my fourth year where I thought I was top shit. I was working in, not working, I had placement in a hospital in Wollongong, and I thought that I was better than some of the new grads that were working there. So I thought that if I went out at the time, I'd be a great physio. And then as soon as I was chucked out into the workforce, I was like pretty overwhelmed.
Right. I guess all degrees are different, and I'm sure our listeners are very familiar with the saying P's get degrees. But I want to know if it's like that with physio, because it's a medical degree, right?
Yeah.
So
healthcare, yeah.
A healthcare degree. You don't want to have a physio that knows 50% or just above 50% of the things right.
No, not really.
You want to back that they know, but pretty much everything, right? It's your health that you're putting in their care.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's one of those things that's hard, because the other thing that you want out of a physio, so yeah, definitely you want knowledge, but you want to be able to trust them. I think you could get, there are some unis at the moment who have their ATARs at, 99.95, something ridiculous, right? So super intelligent people, no doubt, but in terms of social ability, in terms of being able to empathize with you and understand what you're going through, some of them may not be able to do that just purely because of the nature of how hard you have to work to get a 99.95 ATAR. You don't actually get to go out and interact with people a lot in college if you're studying to get that sort of ATAR.
Yeah, there's no ATAR for social skills, that's for sure. I do want to just sort of elaborate on that, because obviously you had a personal experience with your mum having those issues, which is something that stemmed quite close to home when you did become a physio.
Yeah.
Were there ever any moments now since being a physio where you go, I've really helped that person's life get better?
Yeah, definitely. You hear some really, really sad stories in terms of people dealing with these issues for years and years and years, and even the ones who aren't dealing with them for years, the standard amount of time for a minor injury takes about 6 weeks to get better, which is a long time, It's easy to say 6 weeks. In hindsight, is a very short time, but when you're living the 6 weeks, not being able to use your hand for 6 weeks is super inconvenient, or not even being able to use your right foot. That means you can't drive for 6 weeks, So there are definitely a lot of patients who I've been able to help, which I've had the opportunity to help with a variety of issues. People who, for example, have had back pain for 15 years and were terrified of lifting anything above 10 kilos, or patients who have come in and said, this doctor in such and such told me that I'd never be able to lift 5 kilos in my life. And then you help them and you take them into the gym eventually and show them, look, actually you can lift 20 kilos and you're pretty good,
Why do you think that people try and put those restrictions on them and tell them they can't do something?
Part of it, I think, is just trying to help protect them in a way. I'd like to believe that most people go into the medical profession to try and help people. Whether that stays with them the whole way through, I don't know. But sometimes people don't know that there is an option out there in terms of getting them strong to do things. Like, your body is so much stronger than you think, as cliche as that sounds.
Totally. What would you say would be the most fulfilling story so far of your physio career?
I think I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people and to get them back, helping them with their goals and stuff. But the one that sticks out the most in my mind, I guess, is a current one actually, who we've been helping get back after fracturing her pelvis. So basically she came in pretty much hopping. So 2 crutches, could only kind of stand on one leg. The other one wasn't stable enough to put weight through. Helped her, kind of have some direction at first. So build up that confidence. So she was a bit lost in terms of what she could do at the time, because you can't really do much when both hands are occupied by crutches, and you can only use one leg. So showed her all these upper body exercises that she could still do. Keep herself strong, keep that other leg, the leg that she was able to use strong, and then wait for the orthopedic surgeon to basically give us the green light to start loading up the other leg. And so once she could do that, it's basically teaching her how to walk again. So we managed to eventually kind of get her from 2 crutches, teaching how to walk with that, to just walking with a walking stick, and then eventually walking, with no walking stick at all. And that was super, super emotional. I had a cry out in the staff room at the back after. It was really, really nice. And I was super lucky in that we've got a really good setup out at the clinic, and so I could basically follow her through her entire rehab. She's still going with us. We've got her deadlifting 15 kilos now off the ground, which is awesome compared to before, when she'd be like, hey Matt, do you think I can start vacuuming? Or do you think I can get in the bathtub? Like, small things that you take for granted. And she's kicked all those goals, so that's been super rewarding.
That's honestly amazing. Well, let's get a little bit more specific, Matt. So I guess being around myself and Mark, we're in the we call it bodybuilding industry, I guess. I don't know if it's even bodybuilding anymore. It's bodybuilding, body sculpting, competing, contests, preparation, whatever it happens to be. But you have become the physio for all is a pretty collective term, but a lot of bodybuilders now, especially natural bodybuilders. Now, this is a sort of a niche market, right? Because
it's super niche.
Look, I hope this doesn't stem up too much controversy, but bodybuilders aren't always looked at as athletes, but they're doing so many athletic type things to create a certain body, certain look. And unlike a lot of other sports, their physiques and their energy levels, and they all decline, right? As they get closer to peaking for a competition, opposed to getting better.
Yeah.
How have you found dealing with bodybuilders?
Most of the time it's actually really nice, like now that it's become a bit more mainstream in terms of like that fitness social media thing, people are kind of a bit more accepting of bodybuilding and bodybuilders, because it's all over their Instagram feed, like who doesn't know of at least one Instagram fitness model, guy or girl. So I find there's a lot more people in different walks of life who, are wanting to become part of this fitness industry, this fitness craze, if you will. And so they're like any other person now, I do kind of compare bodybuilders who compete to kind of horse people, in a way. You're super, like, I say you're, as if I'm not a part of it, but like we've all got this one driven passion, right? And that is looking the best we can and maybe feeling the best we can. You know, like competing in itself isn't super healthy, but the same with horse people. They love their horse, right? Like if you said pick your horse or your partner, most of them they'd be like my horse,
right?
Kind of thing, you know. And in a sense, that's what bodybuilders do, is they have to put aside their family, their friends in a way for a long period of time to do this one show, to be on the stage for 5 minutes.
You know what was really good that you elaborate on that, because that confused the fuck out of me. But I couldn't agree with you more now that you've explained it. It's a very, very accurate description of it. But being more specific now, I mean, we live in this social media age where everyone's very easily contactable via social media.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think a week goes past without someone new that's competing reaches out to you and goes, hey, Matt, I'm so-and-so competing in this show. Heard you're the go-to guy.
Yeah, I guess I've been really lucky with this social media kind of day and age, in that it's much easier to see what people are doing and to see what they're presenting to you and whether you agree with it in a sense, as in like if you resonate with what they're doing, right? And so I guess you and Mark are the best mouthpiece for that, in that I see you guys weekly, really, right? And Mark's story is the easiest one to see. He's had two quad injuries, one hamstring injury. Mate, there's a lower back injury maybe thrown in there somewhere, a shoulder one, and we've still managed to keep him training, get him on the stage looking in you know, his best condition yet, obviously with the help of his coach, Mr. Nick Boutsos, and you know, his support crew. But I guess the thing that people are most scared of is that physios are going to tell them that they can't train anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? So I guess people seeing that we're trying to work through these injuries, well, not necessarily through them, but get him past these injuries, improve upon these injuries, but he's still allowed to train. So I think that's why people reach out.
I think you were talking about your boss at Matrix Physio saying, you know, you want to show your patients that getting into the gym is sometimes the best thing to do to get better, opposed to going the opposite direction and avoiding it completely.
Yeah, I guess like in terms of like treatment and exercise and stuff, I would call us a bit more like aggressive is probably one word to phrase it as. I always try and get people to do as much as they can as safely as they can, right? So for example, if you've got a shoulder injury, and you can do a flat bench press, no issues, no pain, but an incline bench press hurts you, then I'll say, do the flat bench press. You know, the last thing I want is for someone to take 3 months off the gym because their shoulder hurts, if I can help it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, what's been a horror story that you've had come out of physio?
In general, or?
In general.
Oh, that's a hard one. You do get days where, you know, you have a patient who just doesn't agree with your plan, or, you know, has what you think and what you believe is a fairly serious injury, and they are happy to live with it, kind of way. And I guess it's hard because you only want the best for them, but they're content with where they are, you know. I found that the hardest. Like I've had probably 2 patients, I think, where I've been like, this is how you could get better than you were when you were injured. And they're kind of like, I'm pretty happy where it is now. And you kind of look at them and you're like, but you still have this and this in terms of issues. Like this is what you're thinking in your head, right? But if they're happy, then you kind of have to be happy for them as well. I found that really challenging.
Right.
Yeah.
What separates you as a physio from others?
I guess in terms of physiotherapy in itself, for me, I always try and build people's confidence back up. Like that's kind of my first step, right? And obviously the way to do that is to get them as pain-free as possible, to get them being in control of their pain, not being scared of pain, and then getting them back to whatever they want to do, or at least trying my best to get them back to what they want to do, right? If someone's had a shoulder surgery and they're like, I want to do handstand, cartwheel, flips, then we might be like, might have to pick another goal, you know? But if someone, you know, has had shoulder surgery and just goes, I just want to be able to get back into the gym, I want to be able to bench press, or I want to be able to, you know, with this knee, I don't want surgery on it, but I want to be able to run after my kids again, you know. That's just working with what they've got and doing what we can to get them to that stage. Yeah. So I think the other biggest thing is, you know, pain, I guess, is one of those topics where everyone thinks that you're always going to be pain-free, or that you'll never be pain-free. You know, there's not really one or the other. And for me, I think the safest way to go about that is to make sure that you're in control of your pain. So if you're in pain, then I try to give people strategies to deal with that pain while kind of improving and making them stronger, trying to reduce that pain as much as possible. And I find that if you're in control, then you're not freaking out, you know. Like for Mark, for example, he's dealing with this quad tightness at the moment because he's pushing himself a lot at the gym, but it's also kind of a mental game for him as well, because he has to push himself hard at the gym because that's how he stays happy, you know. So it's that balancing act of, look, it's going to tighten up, but these are the strategies that you can use to mitigate that as much as possible.
Right. Well, look, that is your professional life as a physiotherapist, but there's a bit more to Matt Tran. When did you decide that you wanted to start singing?
Singing? Oh, I think I started like seriously practicing singing when I was 16. We had a good friend, Matt Lord, who used to sing in like the school assemblies, all that sort of stuff. As a kid, I was super introverted, super shy, you know, didn't know how to express myself. And I thought, you know, singing would be something that would be really, really cool to do. And also I wanted to pick up chicks with singing. So it's kind of two birds. Yeah, so I remember pestering Matt. Like I would sing into my little crappy like Nokia at the time. I think it was a Nokia. Maybe it was a Motorola. Anyway, I would sing like little voice clips into that and then like pester Matt to kind of like critique them and be like, "Hey Matt, help me out," you know? And then there's like, I've got a Mac at home, like one of those big iMacs with all these old clips of me practicing singing. Fuck, they're atrocious.
Well, because I mean, you, it's almost anyone you treat now, you know, while they're going through the pain of, you know, dealing with, you know, the pressure points that you're targeting, you almost ease them by singing to them. And I think anyone that follows you on social media has probably seen a video of, whether it's myself, Mark, or whoever, where Matt would be getting deep into our hip flexors and we'd be like screaming in pain, but you'd be singing something like Ed Sheeran over the top. When did you start to try and use, I guess, singing as a way of rehabbing people?
I don't know. I guess like a big thing is, a big thing with pain and how you associate it is what's going on at the time, right? Like if you're terrified of something and you believe that it's hurting you, then it's going to hurt that much more, right? And this is at a subconscious level. So I always try to make people as comfortable as possible, you know, whether it just be bantering with them, talking to them about their family, talking to them about what's going on in their lives, that sort of thing, or what's going on in my life. And in the case of you and Mark, you know, we talk so often that we already know what's going on. So singing was a way to ease the mood in a way.
Did you ever see yourself pursuing a musical career?
No, never. Never. It was always just as a hobby. Like I suck at guitar, I suck at piano, I play 4 chords, I learn 15 seconds of a song for Instagram and that's it.
Right, because I think that's a confession right there, because a lot of people that do follow you on social media do see those 15-second clips and always want more. And I remember the song was Bloodstream by Ed Sheeran. And I was like, what? Can you upload the second half of that song? I really like it. You're like, what do you mean? I was like, no. Like it was a good start, but I really enjoy like the chorus. And you're like, dude, I only do 15 seconds and that's it. And that's a legit thing.
Yeah, it's a legit thing. I learn 15 seconds of a song. I play it. I record it. For how many, you know, records it takes for me to be happy with it. And then I pretty much forget it the next day.
Have you ever thought about committing doing a complete full song?
I have. And then I found it too hard, so I gave up.
Well, I guess it stems back to you saying like before, if you're not passionate about it, you're not doing it.
It's just like it's singing, like you have to be singing fit to be able to sing a whole song, you know? And for me, like, I think anyone's the same. Like you listen back and then you hear little imperfections and you're not happy with it. And especially with me just singing as a hobby, you know, if you don't sing for a while, you end up not sounding that great. So, as I try to sing more than 15 seconds worth of song, it just doesn't sound as good to me anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, let's talk about imperfections for a moment. I just actually want to stand back to the whole taekwondo thing.
Yeah.
When did you decide you no longer want to do it anymore? And what brought that about?
I think for me, at the same time, I was going to the gym, and then I was really enjoying the gym and getting stronger, right? And so I'd always have some level of DOMs. And so taekwondo was on a Wednesday night, so I was balancing that gym 4 or 5 times a week with college and uni, which is rough, you know. And then for me, my taekwondo performance would always lack because I had some sort of leg DOMs. And for those people who have done martial arts, they'll know that instructors have no concept of what is a safe and healthy amount of exercise to do in a session. You know, it's like 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 200 squats, and that's like not even exaggerating. Like you get to the point where like you can't move, you've got injuries everywhere, and the taekwondo instructor's like, you know, you've got 50 left.
Could your instructors do those?
Some of them could, some of them couldn't, but like it's a mental game. Like to be fair, I never hurt myself. My instructor was very good. But yeah, it was a big mental game, and I guess for me, the passion wasn't there. Like I got to my second Dan black belt, I loved instructing, and I loved training not as much. Like I didn't have that passion or the drive to go for my third Dan black belt because there was a black belt fitness test involved with it. There was, you know, copious amounts of training. You had to fly up to Brisbane to train for a week to get ready for it, and my dedication just wasn't there compared to the gym.
What's the most extreme moment you've had in taekwondo?
I'd have to say there was so with my club or my former club, you had to pass a black belt fitness test to actually test for your black belt, right? And so for my second Dan black belt, I was severely underprepared. I went for my fitness test here, failed it, flew up to Brisbane anyway to train, did it once more up there, failed it again. And then I had to wake up the next morning and try it again. And I was sore as anything, you know. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. So I remember I brought craze with me. So I took a scoop of craze, went to the fitness test again, threw up everywhere, still failed it. And then I had a week to try and get fit for this last fitness test. And I think I scraped through with like the bottom of my teeth. And the day after was the day that I tested for my black belt. So if I didn't pass it, then I would have just had to fly home the next day without a black belt.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, moving away from that, you are looking at competing, but now in bodybuilding.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'd always kind of been like, I'm never going to do that. I love KFC too much, you know? Seeing what you and Mark and stuff go through, I never believed that I had the mental fortitude to be able to do that. And my hat always goes off for anyone who steps on stage. It's such a difficult sport to get into, mentally, physically, emotionally, that I really didn't think I could, because my way of catching up with people was eating food. You know, I'm not a big drinker because I'm Asian and my alcohol tolerance is horrible. But I love food, you know, big foodie, love brunch, love lunches, dinner, breakfast, whatever.
All the meals.
All the meals. I'm not discriminate. But I guess being more closely involved in the team this year and seeing how much fun everyone had on stage, on top of, you know, you becoming a co-promoter of the Bateman's Bay show next year, gave me that push. And so I know for a fact the week after the show finished, I messaged you guys, you and Mark, and I was like, I don't know if it's the adrenaline rush from the show, but I think I want to compete. And then you both like, whoa. Like, hold up. Let it settle. Are you sure? Are you really sure you want to do this? Just let it settle first. And yeah, the eagerness kind of hasn't died, I guess, because it's a goal. And I haven't had a goal in the gym for ages, apart from when I started the powerlifting stuff with Koi.
Doing the powerlifting style of training with Koi, was powerlifting sort of the original goal competition?
Yeah, so powerlifting was definitely the original goal. I remember umming and ahhing about it last year, especially when Mark joined was going to do the Battle of the Gyms powerlifting comp before he hurt himself. But I'd always been a bit scared to make that jump out of my comfort zone, to hand over my training to someone else. But I desperately kind of needed someone to look at my training program, because I was just plateauing. I was hurting my back over and over again, as a physio, and I just couldn't figure it out. So I knew it was something to do with my technique, but my knowledge was limited, so I had to hand it over to someone else.
Right, and you decided on Koy. Now Koy's, he's changed your whole training. I mean, you were originally doing that powerlifting comp, and now you've steered over to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Is that a change you're happy with, or do you feel like you want to do a powerlifting comp prior to this bodybuilding thing, or?
No, I'm happy to change over. Like I am more than happy to admit that I don't know as much as he does in terms of training and programming, and those goals are just, the powerlifting was just something that I've wanted to do at some point, in the near future, whether it be this year or next year. Whereas the bodybuilding shows are kind of set in stone. They're March, April, or September. So,
has there been a moment at one of the bodybuilding shows that you just watched, and that was sort of the moment where you're like, yeah, I need to do this?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was Canberra show, classic overall, open, with all of our boys up on stage, Mark, Shahan, Kyle, Jack, Alex. Yeah, just that moment, and there's a photo. Peter. Sorry, Peter. There's a moment that's on photo somewhere of just all the boys in the corner with us, and that was the moment.
You sort of go like, either I want to be on that stage, or was it just the team environment? What was it that sort of made
It's mainly the team environment, I think. Like, I think we're so lucky in Team VIVKB that we've got such a close-knit crew. We train together, we suffer under my physio hands and elbows together. Well, they suffer through it together. And it's just a camaraderie in the sport that is so selfish that I think I've grown to really, really value. So I just want to be more of a part of it, I guess.
Totally experienced every aspect of it. What would be some advice you'd give someone out there who's looking at competing?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is just make sure that you keep yourself surrounded with a support network, right? And with a healthy support network, something that is actually supportive. Like, they may not agree with what you do, or they may not like the look of the bodybuilding, but as long as they're there to support you for it, I think that's massive. The other thing in terms of a physio point of view, I guess, is just making sure that you look after your body. You don't let any small niggles that you have now turn into bigger injuries when you're carb depleted, you're tired, you're grumpy, ruins your whole gym session, and it can spiral into worse injuries.
What would be the advice you'd give someone out there that wants to pursue a music career?
A music career? Learn to sing is probably number one, unless you want to be like a backup guitarist or something, and then in that case I'd say learn guitar.
But not too good, because you want to be a backup guitarist.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, even the backup guitarists, like, they're pretty good, man. Like, they're pretty good. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be a support act, or do you want to be, like a super mainstream person who gets bombarded by paparazzi?
Right, stay humble.
Yeah.
Totally. Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, you're obviously going to be very, very present in what we're doing in the future, but why not introduce our physio to each and every one of you? Matt, do you have a sign off for our listeners that want to be the next Matt?
The biggest thing, I guess, is just to keep in mind why you're doing what you do. Like, cliche as it is, I just want to help people. It gets hard. Physio is hard. It's stressful. When things don't go your way, when patients don't get better, it's stressful. I don't have much of a social life. Well, I do, but it's heavily juggled, But I mean, you don't have to be a physio to help people. But as long as you know why you're doing what you do, I think that'll just keep your drive going.
Absolutely. Matt, thanks for joining us, dude.
Thanks for having me.